Hey folks, walk with me. Well, isolation. I think it's a broad topic, as you'll see if we get into this video. And if we want to do more videos on this, just let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to. But let's kick things off with this one. So I do a lot of looking into other cultures, how people live their lives in various parts of the world, be it societally, economically, socially, what have you. And one thing that sort of dawned on me last night, which I've thought about plenty of times in the past, but I thought I should do a video about this, is the idea of isolation and the way in which the blue zones, right? If you think of the blue zones like Okinawa, Japan, Greece, Italy, I think there's a blue zone in Costa Rica. There's actually one in California. The ways in which they are very communal. They're very community-based. They have sort of rituals. You especially think about, I'll talk particularly about the Okinawans because that was one of the videos that I was watching recently. The way in which they make it intentional to share food, to bring sort of like, I want to say gifts to people, but it's not like we would think of gifts in the US. It's not like you're taking them like a book or a trinket or something. You're giving them like stuff that you grew, right? Or leftovers to go home with. Or they go out and they share a drink. Yes, they do drink alcohol. And they'll share a drink amongst a friend or friends and use it as part of the resource or tool by which they enjoy community and connection to people around them. And also, I've been reading a book about Danish culture, and for whatever reason, the book about Danish culture just sort of, I think, intuitively peppers in there some information about all of the Scandinavian countries, and even brushes up against some things about like French culture, and they've mentioned some things about German culture as well. But in any case, you think of Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and how they always are ranking high, if not at the top of this happiness scale, if you will. But they're considered to be the happiest people in the world. And the latest chapter that I was reading in that book was about community, about how they are very intentional. I don't know if they're very intentional, but it's at least sort of so embedded and ingrained in their way of life that they don't have to make it intentional, you know what I mean? It's sort of just ritualized or habitualized to a degree. But they are very focused on coming together, again, over food. A lot of it is food-based. And a lot of these areas, the Scandinavian region with the happiness scale, but then also the blue zones with the longevity scale, they aren't, as you would imagine, as obese as we are in the West and certainly in the US, yet they have all of this sort of societal community building centered around food. And so food, it's not as though they avoid food, right? It's not as though they restrict food, but they use it as another means by which to gather and congregate and laugh and share ideas. Now, I set the stage with all of that beautiful sounding stuff. But now I want to sort of talk about why I'm bringing this. So I've lived much of my life, and certainly feel in my current life, incredibly isolated. And so that's part of why this stuff stands out to me, is sort of noticing how it's a far cry from where I am in my life, and even It's a far cry from what I know to do anything about. In other words, I don't know how to change it. Especially as an older person, especially as a person, I'm much closer to retirement, I guess I would say, than I am from high school, say. So that being the case, and having, young kids and a young family, I don't know. And living in a place now where I didn't grow up, yet a lot of people who do live here did grow up, if not in the exact area, very, very close. I don't really know how to build meaningful connections. I put out a video on this playlist actually about fostering community. And I feel like I have a much better sense of that. But the fostering community, as wonderful and beneficial as it is, still has an air to it of not superficiality, but it's not a deep, long-term, ingrained connection to a particular individual, right? Maybe it is sort of like as it pertains to the community as a whole, but that is sort of an idea, right? It's a communal property. Property not meaning land property, meaning like property of use of language. And so I have a sense of that, and I do several things to try to infuse that into my life and to foster community for myself. And I do think there's incredible benefits to that, and I do think that ties into this concept of connection and having connectivity to other people. However, hopefully you understand what I'm saying when I say it's different than even having like a best friend, like saying so-and-so is my best friend, like I can always count on them. I think that's maybe a big part of it, right? If stuff really gets hard or harsh for you, are there people that you believe that you can actually truly count on? And I think that's where I fall short. And so that sense of deep connection, meaningful connection in that way, I don't really know how to make that happen. And I have all of these excuses built in, obviously, right? I started off with my age. I started off with the fact that I have a young family, and I mentioned that I'm in an area where a lot of other people already have their friend groups because they grew up around here, and I don't know how to break into it. / I always assume that they're all set, right? So I have these litany of excuses, and I don't know. But I have those excuses because I don't know how to have that connection. I'm especially thinking about in-person connection, right? Part of the reason that I do this channel is because I want to be able to talk about things that I want to be able to talk about, and to be able to say it to a camera and a microphone and post it gives me some freedom in the sense of like, I can just say whatever, and I don't have to feel sort of embarrassed or pause and think, oh, is this person going to think that I'm saying something really weird? And so I do it this way, right? And this is certainly meant to try to fill some of that void, but it's a far cry from it, if it even encapsulates it at all, which it probably doesn't. But if you have ideas on how adult people, but it doesn't have to be adult people, it can be anyone who feels alone and isolated in the world, especially as it pertains to a deep, meaningful connection to a person or a small group of people who they feel that they could really count on in times of need, please let me know, because I am super interested to try to explore solutions to this. I don't want to make it sound like it's a math problem, exploring solutions, but but you know what I mean. Something that obviously seems to have some effect, some impact on life expectancy, life quality, sense of well-being and happiness. And I'm down for all of that. I just I'm not sure how to do it, but I do know that it's clearly dangerous is the word that I want to say, which I know sounds melodramatic, but you know what I mean. If it impacts your happiness, your sense of well-being, your life expectancy, you know, what else are we talking about here? And I can put out more videos on fostering community, because again, I do a lot of things for the purpose of that, and I feel like I have a better sense of that. So the degree to which that helps anyone in a similar boat, or anyone who's like, I have the close friends, but I don't have the sense of community, however that sort of manifests, I can put out more videos about that and be more specific and particular about it. But yeah, solutions to isolation at any point in life, under any circumstances, my excuses set aside, I would be more than interested to hear those ideas in the comments. Well, we kicked off the day, or it's morning for me. It's earlier than I usually make these videos. So I kicked off the morning with about a 12-minute walk here. So if you joined me, we got in a little over 12 minutes by this point. And thanks for walking with me. And if not, I appreciate you watching till the end of the video anyway. And of course, adding any comments below, even if you sort of share the need or the want that I'm expressing, but you don't have a solution. There is some comfort in knowing that other people are seeking the same thing as you are. And so I would say don't be shy to just add your +1, maybe some words of meaning of how this takes shape for you in your life. All right, folks, I will see you in the next video.